It is Saturday, 7/6/2024. We're going to wrap up Taigong's 6 secret teachings with the last 3 out of Chapter 3, Dragon Secret Teaching, the 5 notes. King Wu asked Taigong, "From the music of the pitch pipe, can we tell the dynamics of the army and predict the result of battle?" Taigong answered, "This is a very profound topic. There are 12 scales, and the 5 major ones are Gong, Sheng, Jiao, Ji, and Yu. These are basic and unchanging sounds. 5 elements reinforce and counteract each other, which are the laws of heaven and earth. You can use them to foretell the changes of your opponent. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth complement and neutralize each other. They can be applied to attacking the enemy." In the ancient time of 3 sage kings, the principle of inaction was used to restrain the strong and the cruel. Interesting. In the ancient times, we haven't gotten to this part yet, so I'm going to highlight that. The principle of inaction was used to restrain the strong and the cruel. So the principle of inaction that you can impose upon the strong and cruel, right, the shadow, the id of yourself, you can restrain and remind yourself, like, I am not my thoughts, right? Like, you are who you are, not what you think you are. Without words and writings, everything was operated according to the law of 5 elements. The law of 5 elements is the law of the changes in heaven and earth. The 6 divisions of time are very subtle. Here are the methods of using 5 notes and 5 elements. When the day is clear and dry, send light cavalry to attack the enemy's camps in the middle of the night. Standing 900 steps from the camp, you should hold the pitch pipe to your ear and shout at the enemy to disturb them. You will hear their response from the pitch pipe. The noise is very weak. If the jiao sound is reflected in the pipe, you should attack from white tiger, signifying the west. If the ji sound is reflected in the pipe, you should attack from tortoise, signifying the north. If the sheng sound is reflected in the pipe, you should attack from rosefinch, signifying the south. If the U sound is reflected, you should attack from unicorn, signifying the center. If there is no sound, which is the gong sound, you should attack from green dragon, signifying the east. The application of 5 elements is the key to victory. King Wu said, "This is marvelous." Taigong said, "Subtle sounds have great effects." King Wu asked, "How can we know?" And Taigong replied, "When the enemy are disturbed, listen to them. The sound of the drum is the response of the jiao sound. The response in seeing the light of their fire should be the G note. The response to the sound of the clash of armor should be the Shang note. The response to the shouting of the enemy should be the U note. The response to the silence should be the Gong note. Those 5 notes match external movements." So what's deeper about this? What's deeper about the sound, right? The reflections of what you hear back. I think the pitch, the noise that you hear back in the pitch pipe, you're listening for the response based on the action. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction of some sort, right? And so what is the way to respond? Are we going with the gong, the yu, the shang, the jiao, right? Like, what notes do we hear? And this does really dictate what movement we should take, and what are we listening to, what drummer are we beating to, that sort of thing. The signs of military maneuver. King Wu asked Taigong, "I would like to know the enemy's strengths and weaknesses in order to foresee the result of the battle. What shall I do?" Taigong said, "A shrewd general can observe the signs of victory and defeat can be seen in the enemy's spirit. He can use these signs to defeat them. Investigate the enemy's comings and goings thoroughly. Observe their movements, the auspicious signs and ominous tones of their conversations. If the soldiers are joyful, if they fear the law and respect orders from the general, if they rejoice in defeating the enemy and take pride in bravery and power, these are the signs of a strong army. If the army is constantly disturbed, if troops are chaotic, if they fear the power of their enemy, if they talk of defeat, if they spread rumors, if they deceive each other, if they do not fear the law or respect their general, these are the signs of a weak army. If the army is ordered to battle, array is solid, the moats are deep, and the walls are high. The flags point to the front, gongs and drums are loud and clear, and they enjoy advantageous weather like wind and rain. These are the signs when the army receives help from spirits and will gain a great victory. These are the signs when the army receives help from spirits. That's powerful, right? Because we have other ways of defining the spirits, maybe through karma and things like that. But the spirits, if the formation is not solid, The flags are disoriented. The army is against the wind and rain. Soldiers are scared. Morale is low. Horses are frightened and prone to panic. Chariots have broken shafts. Gongs and drums sound soft and depressing. These are the signs of defeat. You have to shore up all the defenses. You have to bring the full force of your army, right? When attacking a city, if the color of their vitality above the city is like dead ashes, the city can be destroyed. If the vitality flows north, the city can be conquered. If the vitality flows west, the city might surrender. And if the vitality flows south, it cannot be crushed. If the vitality flows east, the city cannot be attacked. And if the vitality covers the troops, you will experience misfortune. And so the word key is used for vitality. If the key continues rising, the battle will be long. So if the vitality continues rising, the battle will be long. When surrounding the city, if there is no lightning or rain after 10 days, you have to retreat, because there is a sage assisting it. Thus you can understand when you can attack and when you should halt. King Wu said. Brilliant. And wrapping up the chapter of Tiger Secret Teaching, Dragon Secret Teaching, agricultural instruments. And I find this very interesting because of the Keynes review and the strength of agriculture that's highlighted. Anyway, agricultural instrument, agricultural economics, it's all fascinating. Agricultural instruments. King Wu asked Taigong, when the world is peaceful and harmonious and there is no warfare among countries, can we dispense with the production of weapons of war? Can we stop making defensive equipment? Taigong answered, the tools of offense and defense are found in agricultural instruments. And it's interesting as an aside that agricultural instruments are like economics based now. And economic warfare is a real thing. Plows can be used to clear obstructions such as barriers and barbs. Horses and ox carts can be used to build camps. Hoes can be used as spears. Rain capes, umbrellas, and bamboo hats can be used as armors and shields. Spades, axes, mortars, and pestles can be used to attack walls. Horses and oxen can be used to transport supplies. Chickens and dogs can be used for timekeeping and lookouts. The fabric women weave can be used to make flags. The methods for leveling the fields can be used to attack walls. The technique of weeding in spring is the same as fighting the enemy's chariots and cavalry. The technique of plowing in summer is the same as fighting the enemy's infantry. The harvest in autumn can be used as supplies for battle. In winter, the full warehouse is a prerequisite for long-term warfare. People from the same village work together, which is the foundation for enlistment. Village chiefs and officers can serve as army officials during wartime. The walls between villages can serve as divisions of platoons. The transportation of grain and the harvest of feed serve as army logistics. The skills for repairing walls and unblocking tunnels are the same as those for digging ditches and building fortifications. In this way, the equipment for warfare can be found in agricultural activities. A wise ruler will emphasize agricultural affairs. People should rear animals, cultivate fields, and settle in their own places. Men should farm their own acres of land, and women should weave links of fabric. These are the ways of strengthening a country and its military power. King Wu said this is brilliant. So it might seem that for someone to come in and take away a country's agricultural power might be seen as a strategic military maneuver on a grand scale in many ways. So it might be something to pay attention to. But I think that the quote in winter, the full warehouse is a prerequisite for long-term warfare, is one of those things that we hear taught a lot, and you do need to have that full warehouse. And I think that one of the things is people get hyper focused on not having that in place in some sort of way. The full warehouse. They're not they're not planning for the future but preparing for the worst. They're either like going 100% full apocalypse and they're hoarding ammo and guns and food and everything, or they're also planning for the future and prepping for the worst. And I think that is where your strength in building a holistic life comes from, because you are looking towards the future, you are actively hoping that the system continues while sacrificing for it, but at the same time, everything could end. And we do know that there are greater things happening that have been happening in this world for longer than our country's been a nation. And so, anyway, just interesting to look at all of these secret teachings and apply them to our everyday life, especially now in 2025.